a registered sex offender. Avaneesh, she's a registered sex offender.
Love Avaneesh
उसको ब्रेकअप कर लिया सुबह है कि अकतल है लिए ब्रेकअप कर लिया अरे सयानी के साये में उसको ब्रेकअप कर लिया मेरी सयानी मेरे हार उसको ब्रेकअप कर लिया.
Born into a hard-working Indian-American family, Avaneesh Kannala had everything an immigrant's child could ever dream of. Early social media fame, a supportive father, and the opportunity to become a medical doctor.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it, a life.
But in just a few short years, he threw it all away with reckless, racist rants, misogynistic comments, and pedophilic tendencies that cost him everything. His followers, his education, and the love of his father all vanished within a twinkle of an eye. And now, he's off social media, serving felony probation for multiple crimes that could have been avoided. So, how does a kid go from having the world at his feet to becoming an infamous TikTok train wreck?
The other girl called me and said, I'm so sorry for you, you should have had an abortion. Why did you give a birth to him?
Yeah, because everything from my high school
You stupid bastard. I'm not paying you anymore. I'm blocking all my accounts. You get the fuck out of our lives, okay? I don't even want to see you.
So much has been said about Avaneesh's troubling lifestyle. The stories are wild, grim, and often controversial. And that's not surprising because that's exactly what his personal brand is all about. Avaneesh went viral a few years ago on TikTok for his unwarranted hot takes on brown-skinned women and his untamed obsession with white and Latino women. Occasionally, he also told his audience about his lofty ambition to become a doctor, but generally, his content is viewed as offensive by many people. And several of his videos and posts have been taken down in the past. However, on some obscure corners of the internet, that same content is cheered and celebrated under the guise of humor. As a result, Avaneesh was able to build a sizable audience on TikTok. At its peak, his TikTok account grew to over 350,000 followers and gathered millions of likes. In a way, this shows that an offensive personal brand can sometimes yield impressive results. But as we've learned from history, it doesn't always end well. And that's true for Avaneesh. Walking the tightrope of comedy and controversy, he crossed the line of reasoning many times until he became a perpetual reject on TikTok.
I mean, I'm already like, no one's gonna want me now.
As if losing the support of his online audience wasn't bad enough, Avaneesh also lost the support of his father, who was essentially his biggest offline fan.
The other girl called me and said, I'm so sorry for you, you should have had an abortion. Why did you give a birth to him?
Yeah, because everything from my high school
You stupid bastard. I'm not paying you anymore. I'm blocking all my accounts. You get the fuck out of our lives, okay? I don't even want to see you, talk to you ever in my life again, and get out of our lives. Okay, this is the last time I'm talking to you. All your bank over here are frozen. You could beg, borrow, steal, go to jail, you stupid f***er. You do whatever you want.
Okay. Alright.
Now, that's exactly what you would call a stern telling off. You could hear the pain and anger in his dad's voice as he repeatedly called Avaneesh all sorts of unprintable names. Stupid garbage, asshole, and bastard. At some point, he switched from English to his native Indian language, yelling out the word "Degajpatanavu," which roughly translates to "you are going down the drain." He also noted how someone suggested he should have opted for an abortion instead of having a child like Avaneesh. And towards the end, he made it very clear he wanted nothing to do with him going forward, saying, "I don't even want to see you or talk to you ever in my life again. This is the last time I'm talking to you. All my bank accounts are frozen. You go beg, borrow, steal, go to jail, you stupid fucker. You do whatever you want." Now, those aren't words that any father would say carelessly to his son, especially over the phone. And the mere fact that Avaneesh's dad said them without batting an eye shows just how disappointed he was. As one YouTube user pointed out, the exchange was intense, but quite understandable. That dad is legit scary. His anger gives me chills, but it's not because he's a bad person. It's because his child was psychotic enough to break him like that. That's a valid point to make, but the real question to ask is what exactly did Avaneesh do to deserve that type of rant? Well, Avaneesh spilled the tea during that intense conversation, and it was an absolute shocker.
People are starting to figure out what I did in high school.
What did you do in high school?
I saw
The
harassed
guy
girls.
called me and said he's harassing underage girls.
Yeah, in high school, remember, I underage
You
girls.
stupid bitch.
For emphasis, Avaneesh officially admitted that he sexually assaulted girls in high school, but he didn't really go into the specifics of what he did. But thankfully, this compelling Reddit post uncovered everything, including his earliest attempts of finding love and details of his chronic addiction. So, Avaneesh completed his high school education at 2 different institutions. The first was Duels High School in Sugar Land, Texas, and the second was Clements High School, also in Sugar Land. Now, here's the thing. Avaneesh wasn't the brightest kid in class. As a matter of fact, he was literally a joke to his peers.
In middle school, I was like the joker. Like, no one took me seriously in middle school. And it was like...
But what he lacked intellectually, he tried to make up for with his musical creativity. He released a few songs, including one he composed specifically to invite his crush to homecoming. Unfortunately for young Avaneesh, the gesture was not well received. His dream girl reportedly rejected him, and his music never gained traction, let alone go viral. Heartbroken and facing the possibility of a stalled music career, he decided he needed a new strategy to promote himself and his brand. But he chose a very unusual stage, the school bus. And so, with the highest optimism a high school student could muster, Avaneesh began playing his tracks during rides, hoping to generate attention. He also created an anonymous school drama page online, using it to promote himself and to encourage one of the most popular girls at school to check him out.
You know, once I ran that drama page, I used to hype up myself. I was like, and then I used to like talk about how the most popular bitch in that school should get with Avaneesh and stuff. And then just a few weeks later, you know, people eventually found out that I ran the account.
On the surface, it seemed like a well-thought-out plan, but ultimately it failed in many ways Ash could never have anticipated. He didn't get the attention he was hoping for, and his free music listening party on the school bus sparked widespread disgust and disapproval among other students. But more troubling than the uncomfortable atmosphere he created on the bus were the allegations of what he did in the school bathroom. According to people who knew him at the time, Avaneesh struggled with compulsive sexual behavior in high school. This wasn't just the occasional misconduct. Many described it as intense, persistent, and unhealthy, so much that it became a part of his daily routine. Many of his former classmates recall how Avaneesh made regular visits to the bathroom with a school-issued laptop to reportedly take care of himself. They also claim he was caught and filmed at least twice, and that the school authorities were aware of the situation. Now, here's the irony of the whole situation. Avaneesh at the time didn't come across as a problematic student. In fact, many of his ex-classmates from high school describe him as a socially isolated character. He never had a connection with other students, and even reportedly ate his lunch in the bathroom, because nobody would allow him to sit with them. But somehow, he caused so much trouble that he became known more for his notoriety than for his government name.
I'm about to pull the trigger, I'm gonna pull to your trigger. I really just wanna lick it. My name is Avaneesh. Your name is Ame.
While most students kept their distance from him, Avaneesh just went around starting drama with literally anyone and everyone. He spewed racial slurs for fun and was reported multiple times for sexually harassing female students, including minors. Here are some of his actual Snapchat messages with a minor, and trust me, the details are exactly as disturbing as you're probably imagining. In one exchange, the girl straight up calls him a creep and begs him to stop following her around school. But Avaneesh just casually denies stalking her and then hits her with, "You looked hot today." In another chain of messages, he asked if she could send him an explicit photo of her body. Irritated by this request, she responds, "What the F, I'm literally 15. What's wrong with you, creep?" You can tell from that conversation how upset and creeped out she was by the whole thing. But Avaneesh, he didn't even bother to read the room. He just brushed it off like it was a joke. But then, in another message chain, he made even more awkward sexual requests. And if that wasn't already crossing every line, more conversations between them showed that he actually touched her inappropriately too. Eventually, those screenshots went viral on Reddit, and it drew quite a lot of furious reactions. This made me physically ill. That poor girl. Everyone deserves to go to school without fearing they'll be sexually harassed. This next user took a different approach, saying, shouldn't he be reported to the police for this? But even with this overwhelming criticism, one particular person seemed hellbent on making excuses for Avaneesh. In a 4-worded comment, this user said, "He's never assaulted anyone," ultimately dismissing the assault allegations against Avaneesh, despite seeing the Snapchat messages. Then, the same account also claimed Avaneesh wasn't aware that the girl in question was a minor. He didn't know her age, he stopped when he found out. Although it's not confirmed, some people who read the dialogue suspect that Avaneesh might be behind the strange account. But even if that was not the case, his efforts weren't enough to curb the long arms of justice, because at the end of the day, the issue escalated to the police. And according to Reddit, 2 restraining orders were secured against him, and he was banned from his high school campus after graduation. And that officially became his first run-in with the law, but it definitely wasn't the last. Just like his high school days, Avaneesh's time in university was marred by all sorts of personal issues. Issues that forced him to bounce between 3 different schools. He started out at the University of Houston, and upon arrival, he immediately drew a line in the sand between himself and brown-skinned girls.
Okay, fine. I don't find any like brown women sexually attractive. Basically.
So you couldn't understand how how your father found your mother? Like, you just can't understand, like, even the idea that any brown woman would be attractive?
Yes. I don't find any of them sexually attractive. So, like, I don't find my mom, like, sexually attractive.
In the same vein, he unequivocally expressed his love and addiction to white and Latina girls.
You know, like, okay, white bitch, you're my type. Latina bitch, you're my second favorite. You know, my nigga.
Now, it would have been nice if this were just pure admiration, but it wasn't. Instead, it was a creepy obsession that earned him more criticism online. "How can you have an addiction to something you've never had?" one commenter said, while another wrote, "Bad day for half-white, half-Latina women with dirty blonde hair and heterochromia half-green, half-blue eyes." Unfortunately, this insatiable addiction also affected his grades, causing him to fail one of his core courses twice.
Tips for organic. I'm taking organic chemistry. I need to grind on that shit. I failed that shit 2 times. I failed organic chemistry 2 times, bro. Like, I'm on this shit, man, and it just like I've got to start reading the textbook today, man. Like, I've got to start reading that textbook today. I failed organic chemistry twice, and I've got to start reading that textbook today. Like, there is no way. Like, I'm so scared of organic chemistry. One more bad grade, I may not even get into med school. So, like, I've got to, like, seriously step up my game this quarter.
Needless to say, Avaneesh's med school ambition was hanging in the balance at this point, and yet he continued to send explicit messages to minors.
Suhani, my love, I see you right there. I see you with the dove. I see you in my brain. I see you be my beloved. Suhani, my d is in my heart. My d fits in your circumcised heart. My d is on your lap. Suhani?
The matter generated a lot of attention. In fact, it was reported to the college administrators, and Avaneesh got a stern warning. But even that wasn't enough to deter him from making his dorm practically unlivable for others. According to Avaneesh's own account, his room was a disaster. He urinated on his roommate's table and left it to dry out for weeks. On top of that, he masturbated openly and turned the room into a dump site. By winter break, his roommate couldn't take it anymore, so he moved out.
Goat Avaneesh gets a new roommate.
This is mad.
When a new roommate arrived and saw the filth, they moved out within minutes, meaning Avaneesh had the whole room to himself. But he didn't even have enough time to enjoy it, because by then, the school authorities had opened an inquiry into his many violations, and he was well on his way to being expelled. Obviously saw the writing on the wall, so before the verdict was passed, he quickly enrolled at the University of California in San Diego. His admission was followed by an uproar from students and even the local media. In a post titled, "UC San Diego's Acceptance of Controversial TikToker Shows Administration's Disregard Towards Indian Women," author Mada Apadye described what Avaneesh's admission meant for female students at the institution. "Even now, it's difficult for me to describe the way my stomach dropped when I first heard that Avaneesh Kanala was coming to UC San Diego. At first glance, Kanala might seem like an average UCSD transfer student, but a quick search of his name will pull up the TikTok account where he spews racist and misogynistic hot takes to over 350,000 followers. This chilling opening paragraph was concluded with some very emotional words that put Avaneesh's unsettling behavior into perspective, even for those who may not know him. I've had the misfortune of seeing his videos on my For You page for the past couple years, but the thought of him coming here was truly gut-wrenching. If that write-up wasn't telling enough, Avaneesh's behavior on campus confirmed exactly what the author was trying to say. Within a 2-week period at UCSD, he made inappropriate content with at least 40 women.
It's a 20-minute walk to class, and for 2 weeks straight, I was almost every single woman in my way. Like every single decently attractive girl in my way, I was feeling up. So honestly, 30 to 40 is probably an understatement.
Wait, okay, when you say feeling up, what did you do to them?
Unfortunately, even lecturers weren't exempt from his inappropriate behavior. One time, he reportedly live-streamed himself moaning and touching a female professor through his laptop screen.
The professor that goat Avaneesh made uncomfortable.
The story went viral, and the lecturer's identity was leaked online. Now, that wasn't just pocket dialing or miscommunication. It was a gross act that shows just how far Avaneesh is willing to go to demonstrate his sexual perversion. And it must have been unsettling for other students in the school, especially his classmates. Imagine how his female classmates would have felt after reading the story and possibly watching the clip. And then having to share the same classroom with Avaneesh. Now imagine the trauma that lecturer would have felt. The thought of it alone is sickening. And perhaps it explains why she decided to move all remaining lectures for the rest of the quarter online. Reacting to the incident, one concerned Reddit user wrote, "Professor Russert is one of the sweetest professors at UCSD. She tries so hard to make students feel comfortable and accepted. She doesn't deserve this." Adding another perspective to the discussion, another user said, "This dude gives off major school shooter vibes. Makes me uneasy knowing he's on campus for real." And many others simply just called for him to be expelled. Avaneesh did try to make amends by sending a poorly written apology to the professor, but it was too late. His fate was already sealed. With pressure mounting from all corners, the school opened an inquiry into the complaints, and although the result of their investigation wasn't public, we have on good authority that Avaneesh faced legal consequences. That includes a brief arrest and charges related to stalking, sexual battery, and assault.
And I mean, I'm a felon, so obviously, and a sex offender. I'm a registered sex offender. So, no, I mean, I don't. No, you can look at my charge sheet. It has all my charges. It was 8 charges. It was 6 misdemeanors and 2 felonies.
I have a question, Avaneesh. So, would you say you're a thug?
Shortly after that incident, Avaneesh tried to save face. He told his followers he was transferring to a top school, but stopped short of mentioning the name.
Top 5 public uni. I go to University of Harvard. I go to Harvard. I'm not gonna say where I go. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Everyone already knows where I go.
Despite his disguise, it didn't take long for netizens to discover that his new school was Purdue University. And that simple revelation opened the doors to a fierce online debate about him. Some Purdue students who had seen his antics at the University of Houston were shocked that he got in, so they reached out to the administration, and a thorough investigation was launched. During the process, Avaneesh was ordered to provide his high school records, and once they reviewed them, it was obvious that they had admitted the wrong student. And so, on July 21st of 2021, the school sent out a letter informing Avaneesh that his admission had been rescinded. Even by his low standards, this was an all-time low for Avaneesh. His med school ambition was now all but done, and his reputation on TikTok essentially became toxic. People called him all sorts of names: deranged, feral, crazy. Every negative descriptor you can think of was used on Avaneesh. But even the weight of those harsh words cannot be compared to the significance of what happened next. Meanwhile, many other users approached the discussion from a place of genuine sympathy. "I feel so bad for his poor father, bro. Imagine spending all this and helping your son just for him to turn out to be this." Now that's a good point, but to understand just how much Avaneesh's dad had spent on him, we need to dig deeper into the hidden corners of their life history. Now, here's the thing. The old man did all that regardless of Avaneesh's terrible behavior and the constant humiliation he brought to the family.
and gentlemen,
Even when Avaneesh got in trouble with the law, he paid 5 figures in legal fees and bail money to get him out. And yet, what does he get in return? More headaches, zero remorse, and pure ingratitude from his son.
They paid my bail and lawyer. Yes, my lawyer was $30K.
Oh, we're
My
just
bail
racking up bills
was
now.
also. No, see, I actually didn't. I don't know. I wasn't really thinking about all that when I was behaving, but because first of all, I didn't think I would even get arrested. Like that's the reason why. Like I didn't even expect to get arrested.
Without his father's financial support, Avaneesh's life was bound to take a turn for the worse, and it did. But it took a while. Initially, it seemed like Avaneesh was ready to make amends for his mistakes. He accepted that his med school ambition was no longer viable. In the same post, he announced that he would now focus on becoming a full-time social media influencer. But not just any type. According to him, The Matrix had anointed him to be the next Andrew Tate, and he was ready to accept the responsibility.
Oh my god, I feel the energy. I feel the energy.
The Matrix has passed the torch from Andrew Tate to me.
Sometimes, being an influencer often involves manufacturing controversies, and Avaneesh understood the game quite well. He participated in a boxing match with another brown TikToker named Aron Betty, promising to dedicate the victory to his white and Latina girls. But there was nothing to dedicate. Despite wearing headgear and avoiding contact during the entire bout, Avaneesh got his face mopped up from different angles. For his next stunt, Avaneesh revived his high school bathroom habits, but in a more dangerous environment. And if you're still wondering what that is, I will tell you. So, of all of the reckless stunts he could possibly attempt, Avaneesh decided that jerking off while driving 80 miles an hour was the best one. And obviously, he ended up crashing his car.
I was jerking off while driving, and my car crashed. Yeah, I was jerking off while driving, and...
Now, here's what's really troubling. Avaneesh didn't even see the accident as a close call with death. I mean, he could have passed away, but that seemed to be the least of his considerations. For him, this was just another low-effort opportunity to trend, and he was keen to milk it as much as he possibly could. He posted a picture of the wrecked car on social media, while also bragging about how he got paid $12,000 by his insurance company. Considering that his main source of income had disowned him, you'd think that Avaneesh would invest this lump sum into something meaningful. But at the end of the day, he told his followers he would use the money to organize a mansion party and host his favorite type of girls. But not long after, Avaneesh came with a completely different story, telling his followers that he needed money to host the party and that he was running low on cash.
The answer is yes. I just may be postponing it again. If I don't have enough money to actually throw it before I earn the money, once I throw it, I'll get the money back, right? Because everyone else has to pay. White females get free entry, Latina females get free entry, but everyone else has to pay. I'll make money. Sure, I could make money from the party, but I'm saying to throw the party, I need money, and I'm running low on money right now, especially since I'm out of state right now.
I honestly don't think anyone was surprised by that news. I mean, with his father out of the picture, it was only a matter of time before it happened. But the interesting part was that Avaneesh already had his contingency plan mapped out. He tried his hand on a few side hustles, like betting. That seemed to pay him well, but you can't tell that for sure because he only ever showed one screenshot. He also did DoorDash for a bit, but it was a complete disaster. And that's because Avaneesh made it a habit to steal customers' food whenever he was hungry or bored. That ultimately got him banned from the platform.
DoorDashing is an amazing way to get some free food. I've gotten banned from DoorDash 3 or 4 times. I've gotten banned from DoorDash like 3 times. I just change my phone number each time.
With all these alternatives failing, Avaneesh turned his attention back to music. The track list was absurd, to say the least. It contained controversial titles like Free P. Diddy, Felon in SoCal, and SDSU White Girl Love. And if you think that's hilarious, you're not alone. One person wrote, "Bro finally realized that med school is impossible," while another said, "Ain't no party like an Avaneesh party." In case you're in doubt, those are savage and sarcastic comments from people who don't exactly rate Avaneesh and his music. And the only person that's to blame for that is Avaneesh himself. He had it all: a supportive father, a chance at education in a first-class country, and a TikTok audience that's larger than the population of Vatican City, Monaco, and Seychelles combined. But instead of building something worthwhile from it, he continued to misbehave until he reached the point of no return. Today, Avaneesh isn't just a reject of society, he's a convicted felon. And while most people blame him for his troubles, some others wonder if there's an underlying cause behind it. Curious about everyone's thoughts on a diagnosis from him. Honestly, I know it sounds strange, but I see early stages of schizophrenia. Echoing similar thoughts, another commenter said, "I truly think he's going through some untreated, ongoing psychosis. I don't know if it makes sense in medicine or psychology, but he definitely has to seek help, and his parents have to declare him incapable of thinking, and then take the lead and medicate the man." It's so disturbing, honestly. These voices of concern echoed across the streets of TikTok and Reddit, and soon enough, people were asking if there was a chance to reform him. Honestly, that's a valid question, but reform is a personal process that must be initiated from within, and ultimately, it starts with the admittance of guilt. But in this case, it doesn't seem like Avaneesh is open to that. One time, he claimed he's never assaulted anyone. Meanwhile, evidence of him doing just that are available littered all across the internet. Then, another time, he wrote a tame apology to brown and Asian girls. That's like someone speaking from both sides of their mouth. And normally, when people do this, it's essentially a risk to believe what they say. With Avaneesh, that risk is even higher because the few times he's shown remorse, he somehow always finds a way to ridicule the entire process.
That's horrible. Like, that's like
it's horrible. It's horrible. Yeah, I'm disappointed in myself. Very disappointed. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. But I definitely think, I could work on myself and stuff. So.
First step, cross-dressing for sure.
Statements like that don't help Avaneesh's reputation, and they definitely don't help his quest for reform. That's if he has any.
No way! No! Oh my God! Michael, little ass dick. Man, I need to restart it.
I mean, just a few months ago, he was caught flashing his on a live stream to the absolute disgust of many Reddit users. Irritated by what they saw in the clip, one person wrote, "Flashed? He was full-on rubbing it. I want to throw up, I'm scared." Some other people were probably too stunned to fully express their thoughts, so they responded with emojis and short captions. Also, his last seen Instagram profile from September 2025 still contained words like white girl love and convicted felon on felony probation. And just to mention in passing, his personal hygiene is still very, very unhygienic.
Slight odor, like a bad odor to it. But sauce me up. If you're a female that truly loves me, you won't care about the odor or the appearance of the walls, right? You only care about me, my vibes, the way I look, and sauce me up with some fine white bitches, bro.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. You see, at the height of his desperation to make money, Avaneesh announced last year that he was starting a career as an OnlyFans content creator. Thankfully, his felony probation sentence started just in time to prevent that from happening. This news was widely celebrated, specifically on Reddit, where many users had complained bitterly about him for years. But one user's comment summed it all up. With all of the political division at the moment, at least we can all come together and celebrate the downfall of the universally recognized bozo that is Avaneesh. Now here's the thing. Avaneesh is gone from the internet right now, but in a few months' time, he's going to be back. When that happens, everyone who's followed his story will have a big decision to make. A decision on whether or not to give him a second chance. But before you give your verdict, here's a piece of advice from a Reddit user who has closely followed the events around Avaneesh. This is common sense, but for anyone, for whatever stupid reason, who is giving Avaneesh the benefit of doubt, don't. Multiple restraining orders, 2 videos admitting to touching women without consent, screenshots of a girl confronting him for sexually assaulting her, and separate charges of assault and stalking. Avaneesh is a repeat offender, and we're lucky he's actually been caught this time. His lawyer is also fucking stupid for trying to get him off the hook, but I guess that's just her job. Serves her right for trying to lighten the charges by having him evaluated and plead that Avaneesh is too stupid to understand what he did. And it serves him right for being a predator. Overall, Avaneesh's story is a comprehensive masterclass on how to self-sabotage. His achievement in that regard is impressive, and only second to people like Sarah Rahr, another social media influencer who went from being a random Eddie Munson fan to becoming one of the most hated people on TikTok.
Suhani?